The new Russian space station could be so much more than just a regular service module on orbit. Ending partnership between Russia and the US, weird excuses, Cold War rhetorics, and some worrying contradictions on the Russian side are all part of the story. So what are the Russians really up to? Let's try to unravel the threads from the origin. In December 1993, the United States, under the leadership of President Clinton, officially invited Russia to join the ISS project to build a home for astronauts in space. With the Cold War quenched and the relationship between President Clinton and Russian President Boris Yeltsin growing, an agreement between both countries was easy to find. Instead of building weapons in space, Russian scientists will help us to build the International Space Station, President Clinton declared. A new era of cooperation in space between two eternal enemies began, and the first module of the International Space Station was launched on the 20th of November 1998. Over time, more countries have joined the alliance, including Japan, Canada, and all the participating countries of the European Space Agency, with each country and space agency contributing its quota to the day-to-day running of the space station. The United States contributes around $4 billion annually to keep the ISS running, and its modules supply about 90% of the energy used on the station. Russia controls the navigation and propulsion system that guides the station and keeps it afloat. But with Russia all of a sudden announcing that it will pull out of the agreement after 2024, the operation of the space station will be at huge risk afterwards. But why did the fast and unexpected decision happen? The partnership between the United States and Russia in space has been solid since the end of the Cold War, and largely unaffected by political rifts on the ground. Russian and American astronauts perform joint experiments on the ISS and occasionally share hugs and handshakes in between. When NASA abandoned its space shuttle program in 2011, Russia came to the rescue by transporting American astronauts to space and back to Earth with its Soyuz rocket, and everyone seemed cool with the idea. Fast forward to February 2022, President Putin invaded Ukraine and has refused to back out despite pleas from several quarters. The United States, as expected, responded with harsh sanctions and some strongly worded criticism that saw President Biden describe his Russian counterpart as a war criminal. The bilateral relationship between both countries is at the worst it has ever been since the days of the Cold War, and the tension on Earth is threatening to disrupt the peaceful atmosphere in space. After months of going back and forth, Roscosmos, the Russian space agency, announced that it would pull out of the ISS after 2024, and this time it's not an empty threat. The plan is to build their own space station, just like China is doing currently. The timing of the event could be a real hint that the Russian-American relationship is facing another coldish period, one that will have its effect even in space. Again. In such an era, nobody can be sure the real purpose and the outcome of a strategic move, like breaking a contract and building a station in secret. But does Russia really have what it takes to build a space station? The answer to that question is a resounding yes. The Soviet Union had plenty of success in the early days of space exploration. From placing the first satellite in orbit in 1957 to crash land the first object on the moon 2 years later and sending the first human to space in 1961. Their achievements were unmatched, but the peak of it was building Salyut, the world's first space station. Not to mention the extraordinary Buran space shuttle that was superior to the United States space shuttle. So the capability of Russia to build things in space is not in doubt. But what is the officially stated cause of their exit? Well, it looks like they have some complaints about the International Space Station. Head of Russia's space agency, Yuri Borisov, believes that some of the inefficiencies of the ISS have limited the ability of Russian scientists during experiments. According to him, the fixed orientation of the ISS is not always convenient for a number of experiments on observing the Earth and space. He also adds that Russia is unable to perform experiments that require high energy in space due to the lack of available energy resources. So what's next in space for Russia? And what consequences does it hold for us? Yuri Borisov, the new head of Russia's space agency, says that leaving the ISS is an opportunity to shift to the new outpost. ROS, aka Russian Orbital Service Station, will also represent a different philosophy of human spaceflight, as the Russian science on the ISS and previously on the Soviet space station Mir has not delivered a great return. Flight director of the Russian segment of the ISS also told that cosmonauts will likely be tasked with visiting ROS for just a couple months during the year to help Russian scientists with their experiments, which would include cosmic ray physics, space technology, and space materials science, including nanotechnologies. They also may test out robots and look at auroras. As per the information released by Roscosmos, the suggested launch of the first stage is planned for 2025-2026, and no later than 2030. Launch of the second and final stage is planned for 2030 to 2035. For the first phase, a 4-module space station would start operating. That would be followed by 2 more modules and a service platform. That would be enough, when completed, to accommodate up to 4 cosmonauts and scientific equipment. According to the latest announcement, the Russian Orbital Service Station will have 2 energy modules and will be able to generate more power than the International Space Station. The Getaway module of ROS will be designed for out-of-space activity, whilst the Target module will be suitable for maintenance activities and launching of spacecrafts. However, the station will be no permanent home for Russian astronauts, as the agency plans only 2 manned missions every year. In between, the Russian Orbital Service Station will operate on its own without any human presence. The decision seems a bit odd, as for many scientific experiments, prolonged human activities are a must. This act of the agency could be a hint that they lack the necessary funds to operate the station all year round. This could also mean that the announced capabilities of the station and the launch dates can be a bit optimistic or even fake. Could it be that the Russian agency is trying to fake news the world? Is the Cold War's rhetoric back? Well, there have been some unambiguous statements lately. Firstly, when Russia presented the physical model of ROS, the very first sentence emphasized that, unlike the International Space Station project, the Russian one really is an international cooperation. However, Dmitry Rogozin's words were even more shocking. The previous head of Roscosmos, known for his tough statements against the West, told that, if necessary, their new space station could fulfill military purposes. The fact that it will have much better equipment than ISS, bigger windows with much better view of Earth, and more power generated quickly set off rumors that Rogozin's words should not be taken lightly. Sources also believe that Russia might possibly design a new supply ship and a new transport vehicle as part of the program. Currently, there is no specific blueprint available for the proposed Russian space station, so they keep many things hidden. But little has been said about where it would be located as well, but most likely it wouldn't be far off from the orbit of ISS. One thing is certain though, something has just started in the confines of space. The fact that a Russian spy satellite got track of an American one and is catching up on it day by day clearly proves the case. Even more worrying is the fact that the Russian satellite is rumored to be capable of attack. As it seems, things can escalate pretty fast, so we better watch out.